Howdy race fans, this is Paul, and thank you for watching my video. I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to just go ahead and do a running commentary over my onboard racing footage with the goal really to make it a little more exciting, talk to you a little bit about what's going on in my head under the helmet during one of these races, maybe talk a little bit about racecraft and the physics of racing a motorcycle, especially for those of you who have never raced a motorcycle or raced a vehicle before. Maybe give you some insight into what we're doing. Okay, well, this is the racetrack we're racing on. It is Buttonwillow Raceway Park. Great track, lots of different corners, lots of different terrain, some high-speed corners, low-speed corners, 90-degree corners, sweeping corners, blind corners, and there's elevation change on this track. Fantastic track. It's a great challenging track for the rider or the racer, and I'll explain that a little more once we're watching the footage. So here's just a couple still pictures. The first one was going into corner one. You can see there was a lot of bikes there all jumbled up, and that's what happens. Everybody's trying to get through that corner first. And then there's just some other still shots. Okay. So I'm racing a Ninja 400, and we were racing with the AFM at Buttonwillow Raceway Park. It is 107 degrees out. I am sitting on pole, waiting for the green flag to drop, and there it goes. Now it is a drag race to corner one. Who's going to get the whole shot? Even though I felt like I got a good jump, and I left my other competitors in the dust, my race mate, my teammate, and competitor Valentine got the whole shot. She is amazing at starts and routinely gets the whole shot no matter where she is on the grid. So why is it important to get up front there, especially on the start? Well, the first thing is it keeps you out of that mayhem. You know, with all these bikes fighting for position, mistakes happen in the corner number one, and a lot of times that's where crashes happen. And you can't win a race if your bike's laying on its side. So getting in corner number one out in front of everybody gets you clear of the trouble. Also, as soon as you get out front and you're now in the lead, you have nothing in front of you, so you can just focus on doing your best line and your best race. Without the distractions of somebody in front of you. And the other part of that is getting out front like Valentine has done, is now she's controlling the pace and making it very difficult for anybody to pass. It seems like it would be something easy to do, just twist the throttle and pass her, but we are pushing these bikes to their limit of their horsepower and of their traction. So Valentine is an extremely talented rider who's very smooth and fast. She's been doing this a long time, and so she is pushing that bike to its limits. I am doing everything I can just to stay with her, and you know, luckily so far in this race I've been able to keep her in my sights and you know, hopefully give her a run for her money. So you can see there I was drafting. We'll talk about that in a second, and then we're going to talk about traction, tire traction. Okay, so right there where you saw me go around the outside and the bike started to get a little squirrely and weird vibration. Well, what happened there is I lost traction on the front tire. I was trying to carry a little too much speed. I was hoping to maybe go on the outside of Valentine around corner one, but I was exceeding the limits of traction for my tires, and luckily I was able to save it. I was able to save it in this case because of my knee. You may have noticed road racers, they touch their knee down to the ground when you see pictures of them or you watch them on TV. They're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, just like what happened to me, is I was able to save a slide and upright the bike again by pushing my knee down into the asphalt as we go, thus picking the bike up and regaining traction on the front end. It doesn't always work, but in that case it did. And the other reason is it acts as a feeler. So it tells us kind of what angle we're leaning the bike at. It's just another sense that you use besides your sight, and your balance, that lets you know, okay, am I coming in? Am I at the same angle I normally am, or am I not? And it just takes years of doing it and thousands of laps, and pretty soon you get the hang of it, and then you can use your knee as a tool. Okay, so we talked a little bit about tire grip. I mean, that's everything. If you want to go around a track fast, you've got to be the one that's going around the corners fastest. If all things are equal and we're running the same bikes like we are here in this class, then there's very few advantages. You may have a little bit of weight difference depending on the size of the rider, but the horsepower is going to be the same, and really it comes down to grip, and that's choice of tire pressure, tire temperature, along with your suspension. Those all things, if they're set up right, then you're going to be able to go around a corner faster. You're going to be able to hold more lean angle and continue around the corner faster than somebody else because you've held traction. Now, on a motorcycle, that's a fine line if you want to go fast, and like in this case, we're going as fast as we can possibly push the bike. So you are getting a little bit of sliding down and again of the tires, and you're always kind of finding that limit. If you go too far, you go down, and if you're not pushing it far enough, then you are not going fast enough, and you're going to get passed. So it's easy to think, okay, just twist the throttle and go fast and go around the corner faster than somebody else, but it's not that easy, and you don't want to crash, of course. You get hurt, you destroy the bike, and you can't win any races that way. So you have that. You have corner speed. You have the physics of lean angle versus tire grip, and then the other big factor, especially on these bikes, which are a little lower horsepower than the bigger bikes like 600s and 1000 cc bike, is wind resistance. Wind resistance is everything. You can only go so fast. The bike can only, with a set amount of horsepower, can only go so fast until wind resistance and rolling resistance, but mainly wind resistance, stops you at some top speed. So if you've ever heard of drafting, we use that a lot here with these bikes, and that is, if you're up close to somebody, like I'm getting behind Valentine right now, what she's doing is she's pushing the wind. Her bike is pushing the wind, and I am behind her in a little envelope where the wind pressure is less, and so effectively that gives me a little more top speed than she can do, and that's how I'm able to catch up to her or even slingshot past her as I set up for a corner to try to get ahead of her. So the other factor is that we want to reduce our wind resistance as much as possible. So we're going to try to be as tiny and stay tucked in behind our windscreen and behind our fairing as much as possible. Now we can't do that around the corners because we've got to lean our bodies off the bike, and put our knee down, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to put our weight as far over as possible, so that really we're maintaining less lean angle of the bike while we're putting our center of mass lower to the ground. Now that's not all, I'm not a physicist, but that's the basics of it, and that allows you to go around the corner a little faster. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening. You've seen me make a couple passes, ill-fated passes on Valentine. Now I was able to get that one there. I carried enough speed around Riverside Corner to set up for Phil Hill, and I was able to get her on the inside. That was a really nice pass, and it was a clean pass, and I didn't feel like I had compromised her line very much. Now, so I finally get out front, so it's my turn to lead. We've got 7 people in this race, so there's 6 people behind me. I have no idea what they're doing. All I'm assuming is they're right on my tail. I don't want to let that rattle me. I don't want to think about it, but I know in the back of my mind at any time somebody can make a pass or try to make a pass. So my goal right now is to look at the track ahead of me, the clear track, focus on my lines, focus on my braking points, and focus on being smooth and consistent. And what I mean by that, about being smooth and consistent, is when I shift my weight around to lean off the bike, I want to do it in a very smooth fashion. I don't want to be jerky. that upsets the suspension. I don't want to grab my brakes hard. I want to squeeze my brakes soft but firm so that it doesn't upset the chassis. I don't want to get on the throttle jerky. I don't want to just whack the throttle on and off, because it also will upset the chassis and the suspension and effectively reduce my grip, which then of course reduces my overall corner speed. So here I am, I'm tucked in deep, I'm trying to, minimize my wind resistance, and I'm trying to hit all my markers and be smooth and think about what's ahead of me and not what's behind me. So it's a little nerve-wracking, and being out front. And in the beginning, when you first start to race, you can get rattled pretty easy by somebody sticking their nose in on you in a corner, or you catch them out of the corner of your eye, getting close to you. As you do this more, you get a little more comfortable, because you just expect that they're going to be there. You expect that they're going to come in on you in the corner, and it doesn't rattle you so much. Having said that, there is some strategy. Sometimes when you're racing against a competitor and you're behind them, you don't even necessarily want to make the pass at that point, but if you can get up alongside them, it does let them know, hey, I'm right here and I'm going to pounce at any time. And so it's just a little kind of strategy and gameplay that can help you out, rattling your competitor. Now the other thing I want you to watch, so right now I'm running my ideal lines. I'm not trying to protect the inside. I'm just trying to go the fastest I can go. Because if somebody's going to make a pass and draft me and make a pass, they're going to make a pass. And there's not much I can do to stop it. But, now we're on the white flag lap. We're on the last lap of 6. And I am going to be probably a little more defensive. I'm going to run as fast as I can, but I also don't want to make it easy for anybody to pass me. I don't want to give them an open door. So, corners like this is Cotton Corners. It's a really nice set of corners, a right, left, right, over a blind hill. Your front end lightens up there, you lose a little traction, can be a little scary. But if you get that right, you get a nice drive through those corners all the way here. And you can see my speed. I'm pushing 100 miles an hour, a little over 100 miles an hour. That's great. Now I come into the bus stop. Again, you want to really carry your speed there, because this sets you up for Riverside. And Riverside is this very fast, long right-hand sweeper. We are wide open on our 400, as fast as that motor will go. We're at the edge of the tires, leaning as far as we can, hoping that we don't lose traction and crash. But if you do that, you can carry a lot of speed. There's Phil Hill. That's another blind right hand over the top where your front end lightens up. Looks like I was doing about 80 over that, so that was good speed. Now I'm coming in to the last sweeper, and you see I tuck in really tight. I don't want to give anybody the chance to poke in. And now I'm going to try to drive out of here. I kind of missed my apex. I would have liked to have been a little bit tighter. That's kind of slowed me down a little bit. And I'm going to do a little strategy here. I'm not going to go to the far right like I normally would. I'm going to kind of hold the center, and this is going to force any competitor to the inside. There we go. So what I did is, there's Valentine, she made the pass, but because I kind of squoze her into the inside, her angle, there we go, got the checkered flag, yippee. But what happened is I forced her to go on the inside, and she could not take that corner fast enough, so I was able to take the corner at the speed I want and drive out of the corner and ultimately have better top speed and win the checkered flag. So, my first win of 2020, very hard fought race with my competitor, Valentine, and the competitors behind me. I'd like to thank Catalyst Reaction Suspension Tuning. They are the race team that supplies a wonderful bike with great motor and beautifully set up suspension. S&P Racing, EBC Brakes, Grand Prix, Motion Pro, Pediatric Dentistry of West Sacramento, Pirelli Tires for amazing grip, CT Racing, GP Suspension, Cali, Woodcraft, MOTO-D, Oxymoron Photography for those great photographs, and of course everybody involved in the AFM, all the staff and turn workers that keep us on the track and safe. Thank you so much. Hope everybody had a good time.